Got a new number. Just picking up a few things. Don't make me drink alone. And I don't want to hear any of this I have homework crap. Don't make me drink alone. Don't make me drink alone. Don't make me drink alone.
Hey guys, welcome back to Spooky Tuesday, a weekly podcast where we're breaking down all of our favorite slashers, thrillers, monster movies, and black comedies on the new scariest day of the week. I'm Sydney Thompson.
I'm Monica Height.
And I'm Chelsea Duff.
And this week we are talking about the 2019 film Ma, starring the absolute brilliant actress Octavia Spencer. It's a movie that begs the question, why was Octavia Spencer interested in this role?
She clearly was only in it to have her hair cut this exact way throughout this movie. I think it's the only reason.
Why would she want that? Why would anyone want that?
Because she wanted people to know that she has range, and even though she has the worst haircut known to man, she is still a fantastic actress.
She's like, oh, the Oscars like it when someone transforms for a role. Guess what?
I'm going to get horrible bangs. Oh, true transformation is occurring. But okay, in case you've not watched this film, I will read to you the synopsis that was not written by me, but was written by someone else, probably the film itself. And this is it. A lonely woman. I'm making sure that they don't think I'm plagiarizing, or Chelsea doesn't think I'm plagiarizing. A lonely woman befriends a group of teenagers and decides to let them party at her house. Just when the kids think their luck couldn't get any better, things start happening that make them question the intention of their host. That's like a lame synopsis, but it's pretty accurate.
It's like good for what they advertise this movie to be. And then there are a couple moments in this movie where you're like, this is a different movie entirely than what I thought I was watching.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so I had seen this movie before, and so I knew everything that was going to happen. What did you guys think as first-time viewers?
You know, there was a lot of really good raw material here, and a lot of things that here's one thing that I think is interesting. I had not seen this movie until today, if we're being honest, but I had seen 1 bajillion memes ever since the movie came out, and I have seen so many mom memes in the past 2 days even, which is incredible to me, because this movie just somehow really, not that it's been that long since 2019, but it's really like
Feels like a
stood the
decade.
test of time. That's true, unfortunately. It's really stood the test of time in terms of like memeability. Like it's still somehow so pop culturally relevant, even though people are never actually discussing like the contents of the movie. They just will grab certain parts. There was a moment that I referenced when we were introducing the film last week, which was the Missy Pyle van scene, car scene, jogging scene. I don't know, whatever I called it. I had seen that on Twitter before, and so I knew that was in here. And then also there's a scene where Octavia Spencer as Ma is like standing behind a wall listening to the kids off in the distance like discover this box of alcohol she's left for them, and it's like an overhearing things meme. And I saw that earlier today, and I saw it yesterday completely unprompted. I saw people were making all those SNL memes this week because of the Elon Musk announcement, which, by the way, but
I don't know what this is, but I don't think I want to know.
yes, no further questions. But somebody made an SNL meme about Ma hosting SNL.
Oh my
like,
God.
Yes. So for this film, not necessarily. I don't know if these people have seen Ma, because I feel like I didn't hear about that many people seeing the movie, although it did really good opening box office numbers. But like the concept of Ma, the concept of Octavia Spencer doing this kind of movie, that really stuck with people, including me, and I think that's delightful as much as the actual movie itself.
I would never use the word delightful to describe this film, that's for sure.
Parts of it are delightful. when I thought that we
Yes.
saw a dick, I was delighted. And then I was like, I don't think that's a real dick. It is like really the character's dick, but I don't think it's like really the actor's dick.
Well, it was a
I will
dick,
say, though,
for sure.
there was way more dicks in this movie than I was expecting because we
Oh,
got
yeah.
one and I was expecting 0.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
yeah.
certainly didn't expect any. And then the amount of dick that we got compared to the amount of murders that we saw on screen, disproportionate.
Incredibly.
Truly,
I want
truly.
more dick to murder screen representation in
Yeah.
movies.
That's
I
the
will-
conversation we need to be having about horror.
100%. I'd like to have equal amount of dick to killing, maybe, but also I definitely would like more killings than I would like
Yeah.
scenes where an adult does something fucked up with a child, like making him
Oh,
strip
sure,
to
sure,
his
sure.
to be naked, and also making out with a child. That was something that I didn't like either.
That
Yeah, that
Oh.
was
made
the
me
part
so
that I didn't like.
upset because of who that specific child is also. And we kind of we touched on this in our pre-chat. But that specific child is Farkle from Disney Channel's Girl Meets World, which is a spin-off of Boy Meets World, which, as we discovered, Monica has not watched. Not even the
Yeah.
original. Like,
No.
absolutely
Shame.
no bones, no
I'm
judgment for anyone
sorry.
who hasn't watched Girl Meets World. Why would you? We're mostly, I mean, we're all adults here. I can't speak for everybody listening at home. Probably some of those people were age appropriate to be watching Girls Meets World, unlike me, who just watched it as an adult. But also because at the time I was covering children and teen entertainment for the record.
Okay, but
then
also
I
it's
watched it in my
definitely
free time.
marketed. It's definitely marketed towards people who've watched Boy Meets World too. So like, cut yourself a break. You're fine.
Yes, thank you so
That's
much.
why it wasn't for me, because I've never watched Boy Meets World.
But regardless, Farkle, this is not going to be meaningful to Monica, which disappoints me a little bit. But Farkle, do you know who he is, Sydney? Or do you just know that he was on Girl Meets World?
Well, I know the Boy Meets World character, and then I know he is their son.
Yes, he's Minkus's son.
Yeah.
His name is
his-
Farkle Minkus.
Minkus.
What the fuck? That's horrible. That's
yeah,
just
I mean,
like
real sad for
barnacle
him.
and fart mixed together. That's like the worst name I've ever heard.
And it just was his name, and they're just like, we love our friend Farkle. But he is like this sweet little boy on that show, and like even within the time span of the show, he went from being like a tiny little bean to being like, you could see that he was growing into like a hearty young man. But I was not prepared for him to be a character who like makes out with anybody in this movie. You know what I mean? Like early on in my notes, I was like, ew, Farkle, like don't be gross. First of all, the second he came on screen, I was like, Farkle's in this movie? I just like was not prepared for it. And then for him to make out with Octavia Spencer, I really was not prepared for.
No one should have to be prepared for that. No one should have to prepare themselves. But even I, someone who had seen this movie before, was taken aback because my brain deleted that whole last scene from my memory to protect me.
Yeah. There's just a lot happening here, and there's so much of it that I do like for what it could have been.
Mhm.
And I just think for me with a lot of it didn't get quite there. That said, I think that the initial premise of the whole like kids hanging out at a lonely woman's house and she wants to be cool, and then she's like, what lengths will she go to, because obviously they're just using her, they don't actually like her. That premise, that horror premise, fascinating to me. Would watch 5 versions of that movie, you know what I mean?
But this wouldn't be one of them.
This was one of them, but it deviated from that premise alone, and it became like a whole other revenge movie, which also, like, if it fully committed to being a revenge movie, I am interested in, but then there were weird parts of that too.
Yeah, the thing for me, I totally agree with you. Like, this premise is such a good idea, and like Octavia Spencer's, she's got those chops. We know that she's got it in the bag, okay? But like, this had a lot of Conjuring problems. Similar thing with The Conjuring. Even though this movie was only 1 hour and 39 minutes long or something close to that.
That's actually, I think, precisely what it said on HBO Max, which is why I
I
watched
weirdly
it.
like remember numbers, so that's why I know. But anyway, it's 1 hour 39 minutes and 42 seconds. And
Oh my god,
Of
wait, is
course.
that
it's not.
Oh.
I have no idea.
It's meant to be like Savant.
This is my one thing. But there's too many parts, even though it's a short movie compared to, you know, the standard of 2021. It's like, okay, she's creepy, she wants kids at her house. Wonderful. Loved that part of it. Weird flashbacks that didn't do that good of a job of her high school life. That's a whole nother part of it. Revenge part, like, is tied in with that. And then like the very brief Munchausen syndrome by proxy part that they don't really
Yes.
go into at all. It's just like, well, you know what's hot right now? Munchausen syndrome by proxy. There's about 4 movies about it out right now. Monica has read 20 books about that at this point in her life, and oh my god, it's really overdone. And like, especially if you do a half-assed job of it, it makes me irate. I forgot about that part completely. Poor Janine.
Jeannie?
Damn it.
Jeannie.
Who expects us
Who's
to know
to say?
names? Not
She's
any
in
of
it
us
for
and not
3
any of
minutes.
you.
She's in the movie for
Nope.
3 minutes, so there's no way to know her name for sure. But I mean, that said, I mean, let's get into it from the beginning. I should have known that this movie would only be mediocre based on the opening scene, because it was the cheesiest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. It opens with like a road trip of Diana Silver, aka Maggie, and her mom, Juliette Lewis, aka Mom. What's her mom? What's the mom's name?
Erica Thompson, perhaps? Erica something.
Who cares?
No
about the last
relation.
name?
Is it
No
Thompson?
relation to Sydney.
Oh, I was like,
It
why would
is.
there be a relation? I'm so stupid.
And they're on their road trip. They're on their journey from San Diego back to Ohio, I think.
They don't say, but there are Ohio plates that I did not notice, but IMDb told me are in the movie.
Exactly. That's my knowledge base is off
Yeah,
of
yeah,
that
yeah.
exact same IMDb
And then
trivia.
they're also like, there's a power plant nearby, just like in Ohio. And I was like, wow, true, bestie. Like, thank you.
Good for you for caring enough to look into it.
Mhm.
But like, the indie song that they chose for that scene, and it was just blaring so loudly, and I was like, this is too like inspirational for me. I was like rolling my eyes. I was also tired, so that could have been part of it. But I mean, one thing I have to say about the movie that it really has going for it is the fact that Diana Silva is in it. Is that her name? Diana Silvers. Diana Silvers. I love her. She is awesome. She's so cool. And she's also so cute. And she's in great things. And I love her because she also is a tall bitch. She's 5'10" and a half. And she lied to the casting directors and said she was 5'8" to get this role. And I'm like, yes, do what you gotta do.
Do they not know the difference between 5'8" and 5'10" and a half?
They just hadn't seen her. People think I'm short all the time, especially in the pandemic era. They don't see me.
People think you're short?
Yeah, and then I stand up. This has happened so many times. I'll meet someone sitting down, and then I stand up and they lose their fucking mind. I'm like, don't I look like a tall person even when I'm sitting?
You do to me.
Thank you, Chelsea.
You have big, tall person energy, Monica. Like, you just
Thank
radiate.
you.
I'm sure all of our listeners obviously know that you're basically
They can
6
hear
feet
it.
tall
They
just
can hear
by
it.
listening
It's
to
in my
your
voice. I have a tall personality. But I was like, okay, did you think I was short and my arms are this long? Like, how strange would that be? They'd be horrible. They'd be down to my knees. Anyway, Diana Silvers understands my plight. And I will see for the first time. But yeah, okay. I love the mom-daughter dynamic in this movie. That's a big plus. That's nice. I also like that Juliette Lewis is a baddie trying to learn how to be a dealer at a casino and the thriving casino industry in Ohio.
You know that Ohio casino industry, obviously.
Yeah, it's big. It's booming. It's booming.
Yeah, I mean, I loved that she was a parent who actually parents, which is really rare to see in a horror movie. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Happens almost never. Happens just that one time of all the parents who are plot points in this film. But also that she wrote her daughter a note that says "Love your butt." Loved it. I thought that was great. I wrote Juliette Lewis owns my ass, and I moved on, and I just stand her for the rest of the movie.
Also, like, it did great things for her clout. Like, did Haley come to befriend Maggie because she saw that note and was like, "You're right, you do have a great ass."
Well, she implies that she already noticed that she had a great ass. And I wrote this quote down, and I would like to read it for you now,
Please
because
read
actually
it.
this was meaningful to me in this moment. This is the first quote that I wrote down, and I didn't write it down at first, so then I had to go back, and I was like, no, I want that one on the record. The quote is, "You do have a nice ass. I noticed it this morning. I'm very perceptive. I'm not like a lesbian or anything. You're new on a Friday in February, which is very weird. Military brat?" And then they just like barrel forward with the conversation. But I also noticed that when Ma is stalking, I'm just going to call her Ma as everyone does, but when Ma is stalking their social media like the next day or whatever it is, she notices that Haley friended Maggie at like 8:27 a.m. in the morning, which must mean that Haley sent her that friend request as soon as she noticed her ass, and Maggie accepted it right away, and then they didn't even have that interaction until lunchtime. So
Oh, yeah.
Haley is really out here spying butts in this movie. And
Okay,
then
yeah.
being like, "But I'm not a lesbian," which I immediately wrote in my notes, and I was like, okay, but this is the gayest thing I've ever seen. And you
Yeah,
can
she's
say
not
that
a
you're not gay,
lesbian.
but also lots of us said that we weren't gay in high school, and some of us were wrong.
No, this is what she was saying, Chelsea. She was saying, "I'm not a lesbian. I'm a bisexual." That's what
I
it
did write
said.
in my
That's what
notes.
she's saying.
Oh
I wrote
yeah,
in my
she's got
notes,
big bisexual energy.
this girl saying she has a nice ass, gay. Her immediately clarifying she's not a lesbian, fine, bisexual. But then I called her Gay Haley for the rest of my notes. So
Gaily, that's great. Also, I
Gaily.
mean, they literally act on this later in the film, so
oh
it's
yeah,
canon.
and by the way, was I thrilled to see it, because after writing Gay Haley 507 times, I was just like, Gay Haley.
You truly manifested it, Chelsea.
Vindication.
I did, thank you. I 2 years after this movie came out, I just was watching it with so much power within my body that they were like, this girl's gonna watch this movie, she's gonna clock this immediately, we have to follow through. The only thing they didn't follow through on is they also had the same joke with Chaz like 5 minutes later being like, Chaz is gay, and then Chaz being like, I'm not gay, and then Chaz never kissed a boy, so it's just like, that's a little homophobic to me.
Truly, truly. Also, like, Chaz is definitely trying way too hard, which leads me to believe that
like,
he's definitely gay.
Oh yeah, because I wrote that quote down too, because I was like, who are we fooling? Because he said, it's, how you doing, Maggie? Oh, you might know me, I'm Darrell. Okay, that's Andy. Hi, and this gay dude is Chaz. Yeah, I'm very straight, super gay. I love pussy, super gay. Babe, tell him I love pussy, babe. And it's just like, if you gotta do two babe tell him I love pussies, gay. Gay.
Just be open about it. Okay, also, I forgot that his name is
A
Chaz,
queer
right?
couple, Chaz and
Chaz.
Haley together, both bisexuals.
Yeah, there's like
Yes.
barely a single hint that they're actually dating besides that moment when he calls her babe. Like, I forgot by the end of the film.
I think
But
they
yeah,
do
they're
kiss
just
at
each
one
other's
point, though.
beard. We're just each other's beard. And good for
They
them.
kiss at one point, but honestly, Haley also kissed Maggie, and I don't know why we didn't see like Chaz and Darrell kiss, you know?
Yeah, seriously, would love to have had more things for Darrell to do because I
Although,
like him
frankly,
so much.
Darrell deserves better, because Chaz wasn't in this movie very much, but what he was in, hated him.
Oh, terrible. Truly not great. Also, like, I was just I guess like it's supposed to show that like Haley is like wild and off the wall, but like I love that they're like bully her into being their friend. I was like, seems the opposite of what happens, but okay. I mean, I was never
I
the new
mean,
kid in school, so I don't know.
it is
I don't
very
know.
much like a Mean Girls moment, you know what I mean? Where Regina George is like, "New girl, sit with us." And then she's like, "Huh?" And she kind of just like doe-eyed sits with them, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
And then she gets like wrapped into this whole thing, except unlike Katie Heron, there was no outside pressure to Maggie being like infiltrate their inner circle. She was just like, I'm immediately in love with Farkle, which is a choice, you know. And I think not that Farkle is not deserving of love, and not that I'm gonna attempt to say his name. Oh, I think I know how. Corey Fogelmanis, I believe it's pronounced. Apologies to Farkle if that's wrong, but he's a perfectly cute little guy. I think he is of adult age at this point. And so he's allowed to be kissing people and having romance plot lines, and he had them even when he was Farkle. But I just feel like his only character traits were nice and doesn't drink. And not that Maggie had so many character traits either, but I want more for her as our central protagonist. And I choose to believe that she also is a lesbian. So, I think she just was like, this guy is here and he's nice and it's easy and he's the sort of boy you're supposed to like. So this is why I choose to date him, when obviously there was so much going on in the Haley Maggie kiss that the movie was not ready to approach further. If you ask me.
Andy Farkle is the perfect high school boyfriend who's just like very vanilla, but you do it because you feel pressure, and then you break up because you go to college, and then you come out as gay.
Yeah.
Okay. I
But then he's like so nice, he'll still be your friend
no.
afterwards. You know what I mean? No hard feelings.
Here's the thing. I don't think he's that nice. Like, I really don't think he's that nice. I think he's kind of a dick. He's like a little bit pompous, I think. And he like gaslights her after she gets super, super drunk and like tells her that she flashed people and that she was a mess, but he saved her just in time.
And he
then
also
like
puts ketchup on egg rolls, which feels wrong to me on a lot of levels.
that seems
Unless that was a joke, I don't know. I honestly couldn't tell.
I don't know with him. That's the thing with him. Can't trust him because I don't know what he's trying to say.
Definitely a joke. She's like, "Oh my god, did I?" And he's like, "No, I'm just kidding."
Yeah, the you flashed Chaz part, definitely a joke.
Yeah,
but I was also like, Farkle, where were you in this moment if this was happening? You know what I mean? Like, she blacks out immediately. Why? He knows she didn't want to be there. He knows she didn't want to go to Ma's house anymore. Why would he not? Why would he be there? Okay, first of all, now actually I am getting mad at Farkle.
Thank you.
You're right.
Thank you. Then he goes to Ma's house with once she said like don't go to her house anymore because she's weird. I mean, I wish she had like been more clear. Everybody's trying to be too cool, and so it's just like I think Ma is a psychopath. Just someone say that, and then we avoid many of the things that have occurred.
Yeah, because there's that whole thing where Maggie like hears her seeming to restrain somebody. Like, we don't even know as the audience what's going on at that point when we hear whatever Maggie hears. And so I didn't like clock it well enough to okay, there's a moment there one of Ma's rules, her few rules are
I know.
Don't go upstairs, don't take the Lord's name in vain, don't spit on the floor, don't drink and drive, and I guess I don't think it was included in this scene, but generally speaking, don't make Ma drink alone. I think first of all, those are all very reasonable rules to have.
Very reasonable.
Especially don't spit on the floor. That one feels like it should not need to be said.
That should go without saying, but you'd be surprised.
You
be surprised.
Would be surprised.
As someone who's hosted many parties, people really do not stop with the disrespect of your home. It's shocking.
Ugh.
You gotta be clear.
Actually, that makes me mad too.
Yeah.
But anyway, so gay Haley is endlessly disrespectful and a little bitch.
True.
Much as she is a gay icon. So, you know, the second that she is inconvenienced by anything, she's like, actually, we're going to go upstairs and politely ask to use the bathroom, by which she means sneak into the bathroom and then hopefully sneak back out without ever being noticed. But while they're in the bathroom, Maggie overhears Ma doing something shady, saying something to somebody. And as someone who hadn't seen the movie yet at that point, I didn't really know to what it was referring. It seemed to me, my guess at the time was like, Ma has some man trapped somewhere in her home, perhaps in a cage, like she keeps Allison and Janney later in the movie.
I would
Um,
have really liked that better than what
yes,
the reality was.
first of all, not enough Allison Janney for me for Allison Janney to be in this movie. Like,
Yeah.
but I'll get to that. But there's this whole moment where, again, I have the perspective of knowing that I was watching a horror movie, I guess. And so my mind was able to have an idea of the direction we were heading in. But Maggie clearly heard something that like terrified her, and then they ran out. They ran into Ma. Ma threw them out of her house, and that's when she was like, "I'm not ever going back to Ma's, and I don't want you to go either, Farkle."
And it's not even like she just threw them out of the house because, like, if she had been like, I had one rule, get the fuck out, she, like, grabbed them and shook them and screamed in their face. So it was like,
Yeah, it was like
big,
super intense.
super intense, big bad energy.
Yes, and I just don't know why Maggie like never mentioned that she heard something shady. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
she never was like, there's something going on with Ma other than she's a woman in her middle age who is inviting children to her home. And that's another question I have, actually. It's never fully explained if Ma is the one that's now going around like seeking out all of these children to come to her home, or if the kids are the ones who turned it into a party pad. It's like Chaz comes over and he's like, you should get a pool table, you should get Christmas lights, you should do blah blah blah, and then this would be really poppin'. And then like one scene later we see all of these things in place and also a whole host of children, and it's just not ever explained if like the kids are the ones exploiting Ma at that point, or if Ma has seized on her newfound surrogate popularity. You know what I mean?
I think it's like a combo of the two, because you see in that one scene where Ma starts selling alcohol to other kids too, or not selling it, but you know what I mean, buying it for them. And then those fucking assholes. Like, there are some points where I felt really, really sad for Ma. Like when
Yes.
she's like trying to be all cool and give them get paid for the booze, and then they just throw a smoothie at her face and she cries in the car. I was like, oh Ma, I want to give you a hug, you creepy bitch. But also, you know, shouldn't be hanging out with children. Shouldn't be hanging out
Actually,
with
I
children
wanna
with your own child locked upstairs in her room. Very just upsetting.
Yes. Cuz that's the thing. It turns out Ma did not have a man in her house. She had her daughter in her house upstairs, who we meet earlier in the film, and I actually thought that part was really well done. Where we see Jeannie just for a moment in the beginning on Maggie's first day at her new school, and then we don't see her again, and then it's for a reason that we don't see her again. I thought the Jeannie reveal was a little strange for a second. Like, I don't know why Jeannie would put the mask on her face other than for it to be scary for us as the viewer.
I think she might also be like a little off because her mom is pretty off and she's
Sure,
kept in her home all the
she's not been
time.
socialized well.
Yeah, yeah.
Fair enough.
Maybe she thought like she didn't know the girls were there, so maybe she thought it was an intruder, and she was like, "I'll scare the intruders
Oh.
away."
That's
Or
smart.
maybe she was
It
just
was a
like,
scary mask.
I don't know. I had a thought for a second, but then it was gone. But I thought that was well done. I think it is fully a Munchausen storyline, although nobody ever so much as says those words. We just get like one scene of Octavia Spencer being like, the doctors don't know you're sick like I do, which tells us, the audience, what we're dealing with.
She's also so obviously stealing meds from the veterinary clinic and giving them to her child. That is what is happening.
But she also seems to be giving them to a lot of people.
Oh, yes, yes. Once the
So, there's
spiral
yeah.
begins, then yes. But she already had a lot on hand because she's been dosing her daughter for years. Like the fact that when you see Jeannie like out of her wheelchair, like walking around, you're like, yeah, okay. Like she's not supposed to walk and she can totally walk totally fine. Like, yeah, it's clear. Her mom is fucked up on more levels than we originally thought. Dear God.
Okay, here's the thing. I read some reviews because I was like not fully sure how I felt, and so I wanted to like bounce my opinions off some other opinions and see how it returned to me.
Mhm.
I read one review that was basically like Ma is a great anti-hero that honors black women's rage, and then I read another article that was like this movie could be great if it really committed to being genre trash, but it's not quite trashy enough. And I really wanted to root for Ma in that anti-hero way, and I was like so ready to be there. But if you're gonna be a revenge movie, I think you really need to lean into the revenge of it
Yeah.
all. And so much of the revenge of it all was blink and you'll miss it.
Totally. I totally agree. There could have been, I mean, even though I love the way that Mercedes died, it was incredible. I just don't think that it was vicious even enough because Mercedes was such a right bitch that I wish there had been more. Um and also like they so half-ass the whole Juliette Lewis's character Erica, right?
Mm-hmm.
Her involvement in the entire like history of Ma and what happened to Sue Ann when she was in high school. So I guess Erica was the one person who was friends with Sue Ann sitting at the table, right? In the
Yeah.
flashback?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. And so is Erica in the scene when so for the listener, there's all these flashbacks throughout the movie with Sue Ann having a fucking badass hairstyle back in the day. So she had a dope hairstyle and then it just something went wrong along the way. It's very tragic to see. Um and the cool kids come to her and like ask her to come to parties and ask her to do this and ask her to do that and make it seem like she's being invited into the group, but in reality they're all making fun of her, and it culminates in this whole thing where Mercedes gives her a little coaching lesson on how to give a BJ, which is so fun as she sensually applies lipstick to poor baby Sue Ann. So I'm like,
And by
okay,
the way,
Oh.
gay.
gay, very
Gay.
gay. I would say gay, except for Mercedes is like such a like evil straight bitch. Like, I'm sorry. She was just playing the game. It was part of the evil plan. And then they
True.
send poor little baby Sue Ann into a dark classroom where she gives a blowjob to who she thinks is what's his name, Ben,
Ben.
her crush,
Yeah.
Farkle's
and
dad.
Farkle's dad, yes. And then she goes outside to find the entire student body waiting for her, and then she finds out that it wasn't Ben, and she sucked some other man's penis. Poor thing. And she's mortified and she runs away. But is Erica like there in that? Like I don't understand.
It's implied at the end that Erica knew about it but didn't do anything
Do
to stop
anything.
it,
Yes.
which I think is fair, but also honestly they I feel like they kind of waited to make a reveal of the fact that Erica was that younger actress, and that younger actress was not
Yeah.
emphasized enough, so she very
It was
possibly could have been in that crowd and I just didn't notice her and I looked right past her, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what I think.
Um
They like handled this. That's not the phrase. Let's pretend it is. They did a bad job. There you go of handling that like reveal at the end. You know, it wasn't a reveal. I didn't like care. And like the final line of the movie, I don't want to like get ahead of ourselves, but like is all like revolves around that whole plot point, and like they didn't do a good job of executing it. So like the movie ended and it was kind of like pop the
yeah.
balloon.
Yeah, I mean, I think to be clear, what happened to Sue Ann is 100% sexual assault. She did not
Oh, yeah.
consent to a sexual encounter with that specific person. And there's like a whole name for this that I don't
Why is
recall what it
that?
is. I can only come up with stealthing, which is when I'm pretty sure when you sneakily take the condom off.
Condom off.
Ugh.
But there's a name for when you like
Like a switcheroo kind
yeah,
of
when you
scenario.
sneakily do a switcheroo with someone mid sex act or before the sex act. That is sexual assault, and so
Yep.
it's obviously very horrible what happened to Sue Ann. That said, I don't think knowing specifically what happened really added anything to the movie, and I think we could have lost those scenes and really just hammered home that the adult actors as adults know that they did something horrendous, and that would have
Mhm.
filled that hole in the plot just fine. You know what I mean?
Totally. Mhm.
Because we get Ben as an adult being like, I'm sorry, and like, and trying to apologize, but also obviously trying to excuse what he did because he's a monster, and he's established
Exactly.
throughout the movie to be a dick. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, at no point does he ever seem like a nice person.
Yeah, I love that one point in the movie where he calls the cops on his own son because they're drinking at the rocks because Ma like
Yes.
tipped him off. And the
Right.
cop comes up and he's like, "Your dad called me to come do this, but guess what? Your dad's a dick, so I'm gonna let you off." And I was like, "Love that. We love that."
Yeah, there's like,
Right.
I guess, one or two small moments where you're, I don't know if you're supposed to think like maybe Ben's not so bad, but almost always it's immediately revealed that like, yes, Ben is that bad. It doesn't matter if he tipped a waitress and Mercedes didn't. Like, it doesn't matter if he was polite one time, because turns out he's only inviting you to get a drink so that he can be mean to you and be like, although fair enough to be like,
Valid.
stay away from my son.
Can you imagine
His
though?
his parental instincts were right.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, your
Imagine
son
you're
should
like,
not be drinking at something called the rock pile either. I wouldn't call the cops on him personally. I mean, that's a
I
whole
would
also
call him.
larger conversation, abolition aside. But definitely, I think maybe do your parenting yourself instead of outsourcing it to the
To
government.
law enforcement? Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But also, yeah, your son should not be at something called the rock pile with his friends, which is also something that I have thoughts about, which is just that like the rock pile was not as cool as I imagined in some ways, but it was also cooler than I imagined in other ways. I liked that it was ruins, but I didn't like that it wasn't just one very large pile of rocks, which
I loved it. I was like, I had like a place like that I would go in high school, but I wasn't cool enough to party, so I would just like go there and like eat snacks and like watch the sunrise. But I did
whoa.
not party there. But I should have partied there. Would have been perfect.
Oh my god, well,
Just
Monica, it's
walking
not too
distance
late
from
for
my
us.
house.
But anyway, Ben at no point is really implied to ever be a particularly good person. And even
He is a
though,
hot person, though.
yes, he is a hot
Yeah.
person.
Just had to be said.
Even though Erica is implied to be a good person or someone that like has a friendly enough relationship with Ma until she discovers everything that's going on. I think just having her at the end be like, "You're right, I didn't do enough. Like, I should have done more. Like, I knew." Like, I think having that emotional punch where you have these adults who've grown up and realize they did something awful would be enough without us having to see that scene. And I think breaking up that scene and interspersing it was like very weird for the flow of the movie,
Yeah.
and also kind of ended up like downplaying that scene in some ways as well, by having this setup being like, she likes the boy. Like, it doesn't matter if she likes the boy, you know what I mean? She was sexually assaulted, and that's enough to be like, I am going to murder you
Yeah.
creatively, and I'm very willing to murder your children creatively as I am re-experiencing past trauma. Like, I'm all for that movie. I just don't think that this movie successfully
Yeah.
accomplished that.
I feel like, yeah, I agree. I just don't think they did a good job, but I do think like the psychological manipulation that goes into like all the lead up scenes where they invite her to parties and make her think that they think she's cool and all this stuff makes it that much more horrifying and shows you even more how terrible people they are. But yeah, just that scene would have kind of done the job either way, because that scene was horrifying. Oh god, this movie has a lot of twists and turns, doesn't it? Wow, just the horrors never end.
And one thing I want to talk about is, for all that we've said, that the attacks and revenge and kills that were like kind of glossed over in this movie, there actually were a lot of them, and I would love to discuss them. There's like a whole scene with the kids where she gets like 6 in 1, but in terms of the actual kills and the adults, we have Mercedes, who is Missy Pyle, who gets hit by the car. Missy Pyle, iconic Josie and the Pussycat star. We have Allison Janney, cause of death unknown, but stuffed in a cage, perhaps alive in that cage. Honestly, hard to tell.
She looked pretty dead. There was a lot of blood.
She looked squished, but that's all my brain registered before it cut away. There was also Ben, Farkle's dad, and I'll get to that in a moment, because that's kind of a complicated method, actually.
Yeah,
and it truly did horrify me.
There.
And then there is a cop who gets shot for being too nosy, essentially. But let's rewind to Ben. So Ben is the guy from the flashback that she liked, that was like the real aggressor in this sexual assault setup, and he's the one that really is like the focus of her attention as an adult. When they first like solicit her to buy alcohol for them, she only agrees once she notices Ben's last name, Hawkins, on the van, on Farkle's van. His name is Andy. I'm so sorry if you've been confused up until this point. Sydney said it earlier. She said Farkle Andy to try and clue you in. And I said, no, I'm going to keep calling him Farkle. Nobody can stop me. But just in case you have gotten to this point and you are confused, I wanted to clarify for you. That said, back to Farkle. So she only like even gets roped into this group of children because she realizes the connection to Ben in the first place. And so when she takes her revenge on him, it is the appropriate level of revenge that you want from a revenge movie. Like, that's the only death that's really like on the level of what I'm looking for here.
Totally. There's enough scream time to really let it sink in.
I think she could have, I don't know, like, this was good, but so she is a vet tech, and she takes some of Maggie and Juliet Lewis's dog's blood and transfuses it with Ben's blood and calls him a dog, and then slits his wrists. I think she should have waited.
I want to know what happens.
Use more a little bit, like do some science experiments, let him suffer more. This is where we see the dick.
Yes.
I feel like Ma watched The Fly and wanted what the gene splicer had. And that's what she was attempting in that moment.
Reference.
It's a clear reference. She's like, I love animals because I'm a vet tech, and I love this man, even though I hate him also, because it's a weird thing where she's obsessed with him and she wants him to die. But she was like, why not have... No, of course. We are very complex beings. But she was like, why not have the best of both worlds? and just mix them together and see what fucking goes down. But I also kind of like the idea, and this is really fucked up, of her.
But I think I know where you're going, and I like it.
Oh, I don't know. But I like the idea that she is infusing him with the dog's blood, but she is letting out all of his human blood on the other side. And so he becomes all dog and then dies.
Oh. You're right. That's not where I thought it was going.
No, I was like, there's no way you're thinking
what
this.
Did you?
Yeah, what did you think?
Well, now I'm embarrassed. And I'm a little scared to say. It's not that I think this should be something that happens to someone. Obviously, again, baseline, don't murder. But she has this whole speech, and I wrote it down, and the whole dog thing is kind of her own twist on things. It has nothing to do with the original. She's just like, you're a dog, so I'm putting dog blood in you. But what she says is, what you did to me, the humiliation, it never goes away. And he says, please, Sue-Ann. And she says, but then it hit me. Sue-Ann, you're thinking about this the wrong way. You see, you treated me like a dog because that's what you are. you're not a man, Ben Hawkins. And he says, what the fuck is that? Please, Sue Ann, I was just a kid. And she says, so was I, motherfucker. But I
Great
thought
point.
incredible line, iconic moment for Ma. I thought with all of the, because okay, she infuses him with dog blood while also letting all of his blood out, but there's also a moment where she seems like she's gonna cut off his dick, and honestly I was for that,
I really thought it
because
was gonna happen.
yeah, and I thought the line was gonna be like, you're a dog, I'm treating you like a dog, I'm gonna neuter you like a dog. And I was like, yes, mama. Not like, don't, obviously, again, don't murder. But in the context of this movie and in the context of horror movies and what we want to see from villainous characters and the revenge we want from. Okay, there's like the rape revenge is a whole genre of horror movie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
this to some degree fits into that genre, and I just think you're gonna do the whole you're a dog, I'm treating you like a dog. Not that putting dog blood wasn't innovative in a wholly
Very
horrifying
innovative.
way and didn't
Something
like
fun.
viscerally upset me and didn't have me wondering what would happen if dog blood went into a human body, because I had all of those thoughts, and I think that was great that the movie provoked that in me. But I also think you've got the dick on screen right there, you know,
Yeah.
it's in her hand.
The dick's in the hand.
It's
The bird's
right
in the
there.
cage.
And it's a rape revenge movie, and you're not gonna be like, you're a dog, I'm gonna neuter you like a dog, I'm a vet technician. You know what I mean? It just feels like, why would you? Okay, the rating of this movie is what doesn't make sense to me, because they're like, we can show
Yeah.
a dick and we will say all of the curse words. They even say cunt.
Oh
But
yeah.
they're like, I don't know. I don't know. I just feel like you have to neuter him. Why would you not do that? It feels so
When
obvious to me. And
when
I can't think of a good reason why you would not do it.
when she didn't cut off his dick, I thought it was because she was gonna like hold him hostage and to be her lover or something. She's like, "Oh, it's not in my best interest to cut off his dick because that's the thing we're looking for here."
Sure.
That's
Sure.
what I thought was gonna happen. And then she just was like, "Nah. We put the dog blood in. We take the human blood out." And then he dies on the bed, and that's what happens. But also, I just want to make it clear that we do know here on Spooky Tuesday that when you neuter a dog, you cut off its balls, not its dick. To be clear, I'm
Yeah,
holding
I
my
do.
dog right now, and I
Yes.
don't want him to be alarmed.
I do know that. If she had cut off his balls in the movie, that also would have
That
been
would've been
just fine with
great.
me. You know what I mean? If they showed us a little dick and then they were like, but I know that's not how neutering works, but without saying it so on the nose, you know what I mean? That would have been
Yeah.
great too. If she had been like, I'm a vet technician and I know the proper technique, amazing. She's an expert and she's got experience, presumably. That said, I just don't. I don't know. It felt like slitting his wrist let him off very easy, as much as the whole dog blood aspect of that scene was creatively horrifying.
Yeah, I feel like they should have gone literally balls to the wall on that kill.
Mhm,
Sorry,
mhm,
I had to do it.
mhm.
Instead of doing all of the subtle, not subtle, just many of the things that were done to the children. We could have done less that, more hurting Ben. I would have been happy. Specifically, we're about to get into it. What goes down with our boy? What's his name? Oh my god,
Farkle?
Darrell.
Yes.
So immediately after Ben is, transformed into Dog Ben, we find that all of the children have been drugged. Okay, and like I just am so mad at all of them for going back over to Ma's house after all of the times that she has been so weird. Because like we haven't really spelled out all of the times that she has done things that are so alarming. Like she leaves a box of alcohol at their car for them. That's like right at the beginning, at their car for them, and doesn't say anything about it, and like texts them and is like actually waiting behind the wall. That's where we get all those great memes from, is that scene.
And also the video she sends them is like clearly taken on their school's campus. You know what I mean? Like I guess
Yeah.
presumably she could have taken it earlier in the day, but you even see Maggie like looking around, like looking to see where she is, and then they're just like, whatever, this is fine, no big deal.
Yeah, I'm like, I get it that it's hard to score booze when you're a child, but also like there are red flags left and right here. Oh yeah, and then another part with one of Chelsea's favorite quotes. Haley's like, "Hey, want to get some pizza tonight?" And Darrell's like, "Hell yeah, I got $9, bitch," which is like perfect.
Beautiful. Honestly, almost redeems the whole film. I did immediately see that line, text Monica and Sydney and say, this is the opening audio and our closing audio. Just, hell yeah, I got $9, bitch, because it really spoke to my soul.
Yeah. It's also so high school. Like you only have your like allowance and it's going straight towards pizza and apparently an insane amount of booze in this film as well. Like where do they have enough money to get like bottles on bottles of like bottom shelf rum and so much Fireball? Fireball isn't cheap, okay? That shit's
Who are
pricey.
they? My father with their love of Fireball?
Who are they?
Hey!
College Monica with their love of Fireball? You know?
Hey!
Used to be delicious. But I mean, that's okay. Right after this iconic Jarrell quote, they get down the stairs and Ma is right there and she's like, "Hey guys." Very terrifying. Her horrible bangs blowing in the wind. And she's I don't have the exact quote written down, but essentially she's like, "I've got a keg on ice back home if you're down to clown." And as someone who says
Oh
down to
no.
clown a lot, I felt seen by Ma in that moment, but immediately was also like, guys, she's now stalking you. Like, please. And at least they do seem a little bit freaked out at that point. But
Yeah, and they all turn her down. And then there's a whole other exchange where Gay Haley is like, girl, don't you have a job? And Ma says, yeah, I guess I should work a double since you guys don't have time for me. And then Gay Haley goes, girl, you need a man. And then Ma says, girl, you need to watch your mouth. And I was like, okay, but Ma is right this
yes,
time. Like, Gay Haley,
Haley,
shut up.
like, shut the fuck up. That's so
Shut
fucking
up,
rude. This
you
is a
little
grown
bitch.
ass woman. Like, don't.
Don't talk to adults like that. Especially
No.
adults who buy you alcohol and let you party at their house. First of all, don't be around those adults. But also, if you're
Yeah.
going to, at least be polite.
Yeah. Come on.
This adult should not be doing you that favor. They are 100% in my book a predator if they're
Yes.
actively. It's one thing if it's like somebody's older sibling, there's a grace period. But if
Mhm.
they're just a strange adult, predatory. It doesn't matter in what way it's predatory. Don't be around them. But also, if you do, they're doing you a favor. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
buying you the alcohol and giving you the party
Show
place. I'm
respect
like,
to the scary predator who's stalking you. Come on, Haley.
don't like go to their house, but also don't needlessly piss them off. That just
Yeah.
feels unwise.
Also, nobody needs no man. Haley, come on.
Yeah, come on, gay Haley. Don't you know
Come on.
better? Gay Haley, come on.
Come on, gay Haley.
She
Also,
knows.
just another point that we've sort of glossed over. We talked about it for a second, but it would have been over for me when she pulled a gun on a child
Oh, yeah.
and demanded
Oh.
he strip naked before them all, and literally got all the way down to he was naked, and then she said, "You're under arrest for being so gosh darn cute," or something like that. I was like, ugh.
Yeah. I mean, I wrote in my notes, first of all, Chaz was being a monster in that moment.
Oh,
He was fully
100%.
getting in her face, and I said, Chaz, what the fuck are you doing getting in Ma's face, telling her that she is not cool? Like, this is your first time at her house. She just made you pizza rolls, and you're gonna be a bitch.
Yeah, it just made
But
you
then she's like,
pizza
strip, get
rolls.
naked, boy. And I said, she's really just sexually assaulting him for presumably what is nothing more than a laugh at this point in the movie?
I know. And they're just like, we're so desperate for a cop-free place to drink that we will accept this. No
And then
one's
they all
standards
laugh.
could be that low. Yeah, except
And then Chaz is like, I live to be hazed, actually. Give me more. He's gonna thrive in a fraternity, so he's fine, but
good for Chaz. But like, everybody's like, ah ha 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 ha. And Maggie's like, absolutely what the fuck is going on? Like, Maggie is the only person who thinks twice about anything. Everyone else is just like, I'm living in the moment. No, okay, you're gonna die. But okay, so we have to talk about it a little bit more when our girl Mercedes gets got. It felt good. It felt really good.
It felt right. It definitely felt right.
In some ways, yes, but in other ways, no. Because there was another movie, or another movie. There was another scene earlier in the movie, and I knew this was like the only scene that I knew about going into Ma. But there was another moment earlier in the movie where Ma is in her car watching Mercedes jog down the street, and I thought that was going to be the moment because it was like right after Ma had watched Mercedes be a bitch to who we now know as Erica Thompson in her cocktail waitress job at the casino. And then later on she even says to Erica Thompson, like, I got Mercedes for you, and it just felt like she didn't. Like, at that point she got Mercedes for herself. You know what I mean?
100%.
And I think if we had started the action off earlier on, it would have, I mean, I guess they were still world building at that point, but I wanted it to be that first scene. I was ready for it already. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
instead, it was a little delayed gratification for me. I guess, probably it was different if I wouldn't have known about the scene.
Yeah. I think that's why you thought it would come right then. But I
Yeah,
think
and it could have been given more like weight in the movie in terms of like somebody just got ran over in their town and then nobody ever mentions it again. Except for when Ma is like, I got Mercedes for you, and nobody is even like, Mercedes is dead. You know what I mean? That said, the actual moment of that scene, divorced from the larger context of the film, incredible, impeccable art, legendary, iconic.
really the highlight of the entire film.
Yeah, there's a reason why this is the moment that people have been talking about and will continue to be talking about long after any dog blood infusions have faded from pop culture memory.
100%. I mean, like, I don't plan to ever kill anyone in my life. Like, that's just not on my list of things to do. I feel like it would make me upset. But if I do kill anyone, I will immediately be listening to Earth, Wind, and Fire after the deed is done. It just
If
seems
you
like
it
it's
is
the
the
right
only
vibe.
soundtrack for murder.
Yeah,
if you
100%.
do legally, you're required to call them a fucking cunt and then immediately cut to Earth, Wind, and Fire.
100%.
Do you remember? Like,
it's a great song. It's a bop. It's a timeless bop, you know?
and I would insist on it being one of our audio quotes if I wasn't worried about copyright infringement surrounding that song. You know what I mean?
We would be found out. Earth, Wind, and Fire's got that money, honey, and they'd
gonna
hunt us down.
know.
Yeah, they'd take every penny, and I'd be like, you know what? I'm so sorry. Anything for you, Earth, Wind, and Fire.
That said, it's incredible, and I love it, and I think it's okay. There are a couple of moments. I said there was another one earlier in the movie. Now I don't remember what it was. But there are a couple of moments that almost managed to redeem this film as a whole for me. That's one of them. Another one I want to mention it now because I think I'm gonna forget it again if I don't. But it's I think fun in the movie, and then kind of gets overlooked. There's this girl Ashley who's always asleep at parties, and then they say like, oh, she's a pastor's daughter. She always pretends to be passed out so that she appears to go to parties, but she doesn't have to actually get drunk and then be in trouble when she gets home. And then they're like, that's so stupid. And I was like, no, that's smart. I love that strategy for her, and I think that's iconic, and I love it. And I just thought Ashley got no credit, and that's wrong.
But okay, another thing that wasn't a great time for me was the last scene of this movie. Look at that transition.
Yeah. Okay, we'll talk about the kids now because we've only kind of glossed over them. And we started to touch on Darrell, and then I think we got sidetracked, and I don't know what it was by now. Probably me.
Who knows?
Yeah, so okay, like there's a little bit of establishment for this final chapter earlier in the movie when Gay Haley and Maggie go up into Ma's room and find she has made a beautiful collage of images of them like with like their faces on one side and then like their parents' face on the other side. Like, I don't know, it's like a key. She's like, oh yes,
It's like a
they're the
flashcard. She's
same.
like putting
Yeah.
the pieces together.
She's like, this Maggie's mom is Erica. Okay, I remember. Like, she remembers. She's fucking
She
has a
knows.
murderous plot. She
Yeah.
fucking knows. But whatever. She likes to use a glue stick, and so do I. And so I relate to her on that level. Also, like her haircut plus like the like craft mom energy like really go hand in hand. Like I could see Ma at Joanne's and I would wave at her and not know what she was getting supplies for. But anyway, in this final chapter, like Maggie gets a video from Ma and she's like all up on Farkle, like, yeah, I've got your man now, which is like truly just so upsetting. And Maggie steals her mom's car and hightails it over there as any good girlfriend would do.
But also, like, wake up your mommy.
Wake up, mom. Like, this is also okay. Something we have to talk about, like, it all went out the window for me with Ma. Like any like sentimentality or love of her stupid hair or anything was gone when she hurt the dog.
Yes, but I also feel like she did the bare minimum that she could, because I thought there was going to be a lot more that went down with the dogs in this movie, considering how much her being a vet tech seemed to be a plot point. And for all that Louis seemed to come and go as the movie needed him, really, just to be like, oh, remember they had a dog? Yes, it's now here so that it can be hurt 1 second later. I think it was like the dog, I mean, the impression that I got based on the fact that it disappeared for the rest of the movie and was never mentioned again was not that the dog died, but that the dog was okay, and the dog was just meant to like lure them into inviting Ma into the home. It was like a trap. It wasn't like to actively harm the dog. You know what I mean?
I can't believe that you're justifying someone hurting a dog right now. What the fuck?
Okay, I'm not, but also I did defend Rebecca putting a kitten in a dryer, so this should not be that shocking. But also, I don't stand by animal abuse, and in fact, I again condemn it. But I'm just saying, within the context of this movie, it's not as bad as I thought that it was going to be.
Wow. Well, I'm going to move on because I want to go deeper into finding out about this part of you.
Doing any favors to myself on this podcast. I like animals and I would never hurt one.
Say it louder so BB can hear. He's deaf. That's my dog. He's sitting on my lap. Excuse me. Anyway, so Maggie goes over to Ma's house to find that all of her BFFs are Trish trashed out the yin yang. Also, why was Ashley there? Like, they're not homies. Like,
Ashley
she's not in
there.
the group.
Okay. Ashley was there because partially Ma was trying to take revenge on the children of the people that harmed her, but also partially Ma was acting out to the so-called like popular kids. And so in some way she seemed to have picked like the superlatives. We didn't find out what Ashley's was because she didn't really finish going around the room because Ashley stopped pretending to be passed out and tried to escape. So she didn't get like her turn. But Ma was partially being like, you are Ben's child, and so you must die, and partially being like, this one is most handsome, this one is most popular. And so I think theoretically Ashley fit somewhere into that.
This one is the most pastor's daughter. What? Like, I don't know.
Well, we don't know. She could have been most successful or something. We have no clue of Ashley's
smartest.
Yeah, I mean, she
has proved that she's innovative with her tactics to get out of trouble with her parents. So
yes, I'm just saying,
most creative use of time.
She's a schemer. She's a planner. She's a hustler. You know what I mean? She's creative. I am fully willing to believe that Ashley could have gotten an incredible superlative, perhaps most likely to be on a Disney Channel show. We'll just never know.
Fuck you.
That sounded like it was a Farkle joke, but if you know that Monica was voted,
that was my superlative
Disney Channel show in high school, it's actually a Monica joke.
Yeah, it was a Monica joke. It was
It's
a burn.
unfortunate that there was a Disney Channel actor in this movie that made that joke unclear at the time that I made it. Thank God Monica knew exactly what I was doing.
Oh, of course. It stays with me always. That's just a little preview into how sweet of a little baby bean I was in high school. Never partied, trespassed, but did not party while trespassing, and was so sweet as a button that she could have starred in a Disney Channel show wearing 14 shirts over each other. The amount of layering on Disney is a horror movie in and of itself. But
Honestly,
anyway,
you should be honored that you got a superlative at all, because some of us didn't.
and some of us
Some of us
didn't,
are
and
Ashleys.
they're so bitter still.
Okay, but my superlative was the best, and it was most likely to be on the Bad Girls Club.
That's two very opposite superlatives, and I
yeah.
want to see you guys physically fight now.
See, now you can see like such a metamorphosis that I've gone through because I was such a good girl, but now I'm the bad girl of the pod.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. And Sydney's been bad, stays bad, is a bad bitch.
Bad for life.
Who will come out, the new bad girl or the OG bad girl? I said who will come out instead of on top, and the answer when you misspeak like that is they both come out.
We both have come out. It's true.
Monica, are we now fighting for who gets to be the top?
Ooh.
I don't want to do that. I am
Sydney, please. Sydney, you automatically lose.
I will lose this fight. I don't.
She's gonna
Sydney
just
will
throw
not
in the
only
towel.
lose the fight, Sydney will forfeit the fight before it has ever
She'll
begun.
just lay down and let me kick her. But I wouldn't do that because I wouldn't want to hurt you.
Yeah.
But anyway, back to this final chapter that is truly, utterly horrifying. So, she drugs all the kids. She puts them all on dog leashes, which didn't occur to me until right now. The type of dog collar that like chokes the dog if it runs.
Some of them got the really scary ones that like they're supposed to not hurt your dog, but they look like they hurt your dog.
They hurt your dog. I hate those. Those are so scary. But anyway, so first person to get fucked up is Lil Chaz. And you know, he's being punished for having soft, supple skin and a nice belly, and she burns his tum-tum with a hot iron.
Can I read that quote for you? Would you like to hear that quote? She says, "You know, some people just fit right in. It comes effortlessly. Those perfectly little touches. Perfect skin. Oh, that perfect skin. Perfect belly. Must be nice, most handsome." When she said perfect belly,
I want your belly.
Yes, another clear reference. And I didn't know what was happening at first, and then I saw the iron, and I was extremely upset.
Yeah,
that was one of the only moments in the movie that really provoked a full caps moment for me in my notes.
Yeah, that was terrible. There's another full caps moment for me moments afterwards though. But next is Gay Haley, and you know, of all of the things to do to Gay Haley, sewing her mouth shut, I was like, yeah, that was just gonna be
fair enough.
thing.
Yeah,
fair enough. She's been a bitch.
But the fact that she pulled out regular craft scissors to cut the regular thread, that to me was the scariest part of that whole scene. Because, again, she's a vet technician. Clearly she has access to veterinary medical supplies that she's stealing. Instead, she was just like, I've got yarn and scissors at home. I don't need special equipment.
She's a craft mom as well. So she's both. And then immediately following that is the worst part of the entire movie, I would say, by far. And I don't even want to talk about it, but we have to. And that's,
I actually don't know which part you're gonna say though. Is the thing.
It's the Darrell part for me is the worst part of the whole fucking movie.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah, because okay, so there's been a couple of like moments in the movie, or not a couple, maybe just one, where like Darrell, who is like the only black friend in this friend group, tries to like relate to Ma over their shared black experience. Like he makes a joke when she creepily shows up at their house and is like, "Are you down to clown?" And he makes a joke about slavery, and she's not down for that either at that time. She just like looks at him like, what the fuck? And he was like really jazzed about it, and then she was not down. And so it becomes clear why in this final scene where she takes the time to paint his face white, because there can, and I don't know if I have this quote exactly right, but there can only be one in the group. Sorry,
She
Darrell.
says, I'm sorry, Darrell. They've only got room for one of us.
And paints his face white. Oh, God.
Yeah.
That part, I was like, just turn it off. Just turn it off.
Yeah, and also that's very grim, being like there can only be one black person here, considering how she hides her black daughter away for the entirety of the movie too.
It is.
Just not chill.
Not chill. There's
Not
like
chill.
there's something deeper going on there with Ma, that with dear Sue Ann, and I wish her well.
Which is interesting, because this movie was written, Sue Ann was a white character in the original script,
Yeah.
and then Octavia Spencer is buddies with the director who directed her in The Help, which is like, how do you direct this movie and then also that movie? And that's a whole other conversation.
I saw that and I was like, okay, so that's why she's in this movie. But
Yes.
also, how? But okay,
But also because she read the script and was like, seems fun, I'll do it. And then so they rewrote the character, and they like throw in these little mentions, but for the most part, she really only is like acknowledging that experience, and that only comes onto the page when she's like, I'm the black person here. And it is just like I said, it's not chill. Not chill.
Not chill. Not chill. So immediately after that horrifying little sequence, she has Maggie take a class photo of them all together, which is something that will haunt my dreams deeply for the rest of my days, and I hated it. And then in an exciting last series of events, Maggie gets hung briefly, which
you did skip the moment that we touched on earlier, which is she makes out with Farkle.
Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I just blacked. Literally every time I black it out.
That was
I was trying to forget that.
Yeah, when you were like, this is the worst moment in the film, and I was like, I don't know which one it was gonna be. It's because I didn't know if you were gonna be talking about the painting Darrell white scene or the making out with Farkle scene.
Okay, yeah. So it's like a tie between the two of them, and they come right after another, and like it's hilarious to me that I completely forgot that it happened again because I've blocked it out of my mind. Like it literally, like it did not happen to me. But okay,
it comes and goes. It cannot stay in the brain.
And it's just so fucked up because like Farkle like tries to like play into it to like save them all, but it's like it comes across so terrible and
he
so
just makes
bad.
out with this scary adult who then stabs him mid makeout. Mid makeout.
Horrible. Worst thing to happen during a makeout. To be stabbed, terrible. But anyway, then Maggie gets hung for a brief period of time. And is that when our heroine Janine, what's her name? Jeannie comes and saves the day, kind of. I don't really remember what happens at the very end because I kind of just blacked out because I was so upset. So someone else take it over.
The answer is that the movie doesn't exactly know either. But it's like Octavia is at the top of the stairs, and then Jeannie like hits her with a frying pan. Ma falls backwards down the stairs, knocks over a candle. The candle lights something aflame. Possibly
it's alcohol. Yeah, it's because when Chaz blacks out, he drops the bottle of rum and it shatters everywhere. So it's rum. The rum fire.
Oh, interesting. Good catch.
I don't know why I remember that, but I did.
The whole room is immediately engulfed in flames. And then Jeannie is on the other side of the door to the basement up in the house, like pressed against it for some reason. But everyone down in the basement is trapped inside because Ma had like stuck a piece of rebar through the door handles on the outside so that it was stuck. So everyone was just trapped inside. But then she like opens it again. And actually I forget how honestly they get the door open from the other side.
This is what happens. I remember all of this. So they come down. Jeannie comes down. They're all banging on the door, and at the same time, the undercover hero of this entire film comes into play. In a
Oh,
scene we did not
yes.
discuss, and in a character we have never discussed, there is an undercover gay representation character in this film. His name is Stu, and he is Erica, the mom's coworker, and he is the best friend that anyone could ever have. She calls him, she's like, my daughter is gone. Stu is like, we're gonna find her. And they show up and they pull that rebarb out. And it's heroic. They're getting the children out, and then I was so excited. I was like, wow, like someone like praised Stu, something great happened. But instead the rest of the movie happens and it's bad, in my opinion. I hate the very last line. This is when Erica comes in. They're trying to reason with Octavia Spencer, or with Ma, and Ma's trying to like take Jeannie into the house to die, like, which is so terrible. She's like gonna let
So
her
dark.
daughter burn. And so Maggie, so Ma's like, fuck you, Erica, for not sticking up for me, that sort of thing. Erica's like, I'm so sorry, blah, 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 blah. And then Maggie's like, you know what? I'm just gonna stab this bitch. And she goes and stabs Ma, as she says, to the excitement of everyone. Wow, this is the killer line, apparently. She stabs her and says, I'm not weak. I'm not my mother. And I was just like, that's so mean. Your mom is such a good mom. And that's going to be like the whole crux of this movie. I'm not my mother. You love your mom. She's a very nice lady.
It's weird because it's kind of accomplishing two roles, which is one is Ma is saying to Maggie, you're weak like your mother, which is why you're not going to save my daughter. You're just going to save yourself, which is what your mom did.
Yeah.
And so she's saying, I'm not weak. And then the I am not my mother is kind of like, you're holding me responsible for what my mom did in the same way that you're holding Farkle responsible for what his parents did. So it's like, I am my own person and you are punishing these some innocent, some less innocent children. Like Chaz can go, you know what I mean? But Darrell did not deserve this.
Fairly deserved death, I'll say that.
He didn't die though. He just gets like an iron on his stomach, whatever. He gets a little sexually assaulted, that's bad. But also he's gonna go to a fraternity and they're gonna make him strip naked all over again. And then he's gonna be like, I love my brothers. He loved it.
Why do you have an iron and they'll be like, why do you have an iron mark scar burn on?
And he'll be like, bro, I partied crazy hard in high school. And that's it. That'll be his whole story.
He's
anyway, he's a fictional character. It doesn't matter. But
he's gonna be the frat guy that slaps every other frat guy's ass. That's gonna be who he is.
But I kind of like it more when you inject that vibe into it, though. You know what I mean? Now this fictional version of a fictional character is growing.
The whole thing that we've been saying is that he's an undercover bisexual man, and so that's where that comes from.
I like our version of Chaz. Our version of Chaz much more appealing to me.
Yeah, he's figuring it out. He's kind of a douche, but he'll level out in college. It'll all be okay. But anyway, yeah. I mean, then the final scene occurs where Octavia Spencer ascends the stairs of her burning home and lies on the corpse of her now dog Ben, half dog Ben, and snuggles up to him like you would snuggle up to a puppy you love, but he's a corpse of a man filled with dog blood, and then they burn to death. Well, he's already dead. She burns to death.
Well, they allegedly burned to death.
Allegedly.
They don't show it. There could be a sequel.
Oh my god. Please, no. Please, Tate Taylor, I think, is the name of the director. Please, no. Octavia
Tate
Spencer,
Taylor.
I don't think would do that now. But this was only 2 years ago, so
Octavia Spencer, I think, would do it because clearly she's just having fun. You know,
having the blast. She'd love to wear the wig
she
again.
did a great job with the role. You know what I mean? She was just having a good time, and I love that she's like, I want to do a scary movie, and she's like, I've got an Oscar already. I can do what I want now.
Do whatever I want. Yeah.
I wish this movie had been deserving of her.
I agree. I totally agree. Because she did a great job in her role, but the movie failed her. And it's sad. But okay, so we've gone through the whole thing. Now we got to go into our regular topics. First one being, could it have been gayer? We've really touched on this a lot throughout, but like it's pretty gay already. I don't know.
This movie's very gay.
Yeah, like The Roommate, there is a gay kiss on screen, but also it is very homophobic by being like, that's gay, bro, like more than once in the movie. You know what I mean? There are two characters that say gay things or that are called gay and then are like, I'm not gay, bro. And it's just like, do we have to do that in 2019? Like, I can't speak to the Ohioan experience, I guess, but it feels a little out of touch if those characters are not actually gay characters. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but they are actually gay characters, so we're good.
They are actually gay characters.
Yeah.
You're right.
And also I feel like you know, though there are those flaws that you just mentioned, there is a gay superhero in this movie in Stu, and that's something that we don't usually get. We haven't had a canonically gay superhero in any of our films thus far, but he is that person for us, and I love him. And he really deserved more screen time. He's a great guy. Very welcoming to Erica on her first day on the job. Looks great in a vest. We love him. So, next up is the age-old question. Where could Maddie Lily fit into this film? And I would like to preface this section by saying that I may have been within 100 yards from Matthew Lillard within this past week. I was going to drop off or to pick up my dog from the person who was house sitting it, and I realized that right next door they were literally filming Good Girls, and I did not break and enter and trespass onto the property to find him, and it is my biggest regret, and I feel terrible. But
Can
I
you
wouldn't.
believe
We told you to do it.
this seasoned trespasser refused to trespass one last time in search of
thing
Maddie
is,
Lily?
There was heavy security. It was a church, and I don't want to fuck with any Catholic ghosts that might come after me for doing that. And the most important thing of all is, for some reason on that day, I dressed fully and very accurately like a fairy. I literally was just missing the wings. Like, I was wearing a forest green vest as a shirt. I put freckles on my face, which I do not have naturally. And I was wearing mushroom jewelry. And there's no way they would have known or would have thought that I was supposed to be there because everybody else was dressed in normal clothes. So I would have stuck out like a sore thumb. And I cannot fly, though I was dressed like a fairy, so I wouldn't have been able to evade police.
What I'm hearing is your fairy girl outfit, while adorable and iconic, did not help you channel your bad girl energy from the podcast when it came to hunting down Maddie Lily.
I know. And also, like, it would have been the perfect time to meet him because I did look damn fucking cute. But also, I think, like, me dressed fully like a fairy, breaking and entering into a church to find him that was, like, a live set, like, might have, like, really sealed the deal on the, oh, this bitch is crazy kind of vibe. And, you know, I want him to fall deeply and completely in love with me when we meet. And so, trying to set the tone a little differently when it does happen.
Perhaps simply one or two steps too far.
Yeah, one or two. But you know, besides that, where would he fit into this film?
I feel like there's really only one adult male role, which is Ben, and I think Maddie Lily would absolutely kill it in the sense that he, and we know this, has full capacity to have been a deranged teenager. In which case he would kill it, and I think he would do a great job of Ben as an adult as well. That said, if we could transport him, we could also just have young Maddie Lily playing young Ben. You could throw him into the friend group as Chaz. I think a young Maddie Lily would do Chaz right, and I think he could also bring that bisexual energy for Chaz.
100%.
Because we've seen him do it in Scream, you know.
So,
but that said, I think he would be a great Ben.
No, I'm 100% with
I
you on
also think
that.
he would be a great Ben.
Yeah, there's no other place for him unless we created a new role.
Yeah. Could he play Ma? I think he'd do a good job, but I think, you know, Octavia Spencer killed it.
I could also see him as
Okay,
the
but
head
also-
veterinarian. And I could see him be an absolute bitch to Ma in that regard. So He's got range.
Okay, but what if
Mhm.
he was Mercedes
Oh.
and that's
Gender
where
bend.
it was a little gayer?
Ooh.
I would love to see him in that little dress in the, the
Oh, it would
casino
be so
scene.
good.
Very interested.
But also, I love Missy Pyle. She's such an icon, and I love her
She's
role
so
in Josie
great.
and the Pussycats so much.
I wish there had been a little bit more of her absolute bitch energy in
I wish
this
there had
movie.
been a little bit more of everybody. You know what I mean? I feel
Yeah.
like we didn't get very much Missy Pyle. We really did not get very much Allison Janney.
Zero Allison Janney. Cut out all the flashbacks and give us the actual characters. Except
I
I
want
love
to see how
Ma's
Allison
baby
Janney
hair.
got put in that cage, you know?
That would have been great. This is already an R-rated movie, right? So like they can crunch her
Yeah,
up into
you're
a box.
already
You can
showing
see
us a
that.
penis. Like, why are you shying away from the other stuff?
Yeah, I would take a crunched up person over the penis, but it's like hard for me to let go of the penis because that was
Oh,
something I value
absolutely.
in a film.
Keep the penis. There's
the
no
We
when
can
we
have both.
say when we say cut the penis, we only mean within the storyline of the film. Cut the
Yeah.
penis off.
Yes. Anyway, finally, or not finally, second to finally, we've got the dumb bitch. Penultimately, and this one, I would like to, before we get into who is the dumb bitch, I would like to
Mhm.
say who is not the dumb bitch, and I would
Okay.
like to say that Darrell is not the dumb bitch because
Yes.
Darrell from the get-go is sussed out by Ma, and though he does try to ingratiate himself with her later in the film, he from the get-go was like, we do not know this woman. Why are we going into her house? And everybody else was gung-ho. Even Maggie, who you think is the smart one. No, it's Darrell. Also, smart guy, because he comes up with the nickname Ma. Great nickname. 2, he's not afraid to ask for pizza rolls, and that's brave.
That's something we should be looking for more in people, and it's something I commend as far as character traits go.
He
And
has
I
the
also
audacity
think,
to ask for snacks.
yeah, I mean, I think he also had some great social commentary in terms of where they all stand and how they are perceived within society. When they're like trying to get people to buy them alcohol, it doesn't work for him. It doesn't work for anybody else either until Ma comes along. So I mean, he says feels racist, but then he also says when they're voting Maggie to go do it, Chaz says she's new and no one knows who she is, and truthfully you could be a narc, and that scares me. And he's like, look, if the cops come, just cry, they'll let you off. Like, he's clocking like who can get away with what, you know what I mean?
Perceptive. He's great.
And he's got like good lines, good jokes throughout the movie. He just
He's got
is
$9, bitch.
Yeah, he is he's also the first person to ask Sue-Ann what her name is. Nobody else had asked her up until that point, even though
Yeah.
they were literally in the basement of her
Thank
home
you.
asking for pizza rolls, and then he's like, "What is your name?" You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's the only person with a modicum of respect and general
I thought you
human
said a
decency.
Monica of respect, and I was like, ooh. Anyway, continue.
I just think he is wonderful, and you know, in terms of what happened to the characters in the movie, what happened to him is upsetting because it is like, you know, I really don't have good words for it other than deeply unchill,
Yeah,
which is
big
what I just
bad.
keep repeating, but also I mean, the psychological, I don't want to say it's better than what happened to everybody else, because again, the psychological implications of it are rough. But paint washes off, and stab wounds need stitches to close. You know what I mean? So I'm glad that he did not get stabbed. I'm glad for him that he did not have an iron pressed against his. You know what I mean? Like,
Uh-huh.
lots of bad things happened here. I'm glad those things didn't happen to Darrell. I don't want to minimize what happened to Darrell. I just
Back to the complimenting of Darrell.
yeah,
I would like
sorry,
to
I got
nominate.
really oof.
I don't know.
oof. Maybe we cut that.
Edit
Who can
Yeah, I think we
say?
should
Yeah,
cut that
who
out.
knows?
Yes, I think we should cut it. I would like to nominate Darrell for the antithesis of the dumb bitch. He is the smart king, and that's just it.
Okay, but then I would like to nominate all the white kids in this movie as the dumb bitch, because why are they hanging out with her? Why do they keep going back to her?
They're
All of these
all
random kids.
stupid. They're so dumb. There's so many red flags. Maggie is the least dumb of them, but she's still dumb because she keeps going back and she doesn't tell her mom who's cool. And I mean, there's no way to single one out more than the other. They're all so dumb. They all get it. And I'm not going to give Ma the dumb bitch award because she's very smart. She almost created a dog human hybrid.
She's very smart. She's also clearly traumatized from this horrible experience, and she's also, again, not that Munchausen disorder by proxy.
Syndrome
Thank
by
you.
proxy.
Yeah, Munchausen syndrome by proxy. She is abusing her daughter, but it also is a mental illness, and Rebecca is not here to help us parse through that one as a mental health professional. So I'm just not really gonna weigh in on it, other than to say Jeannie was abused, but Ma needs help for a lot of ways to process things. So I again don't really feel comfortable for a lot of different reasons saying that she could be a dumb bitch in that movie. For me, I think maybe Maggie feels particularly dumb.
Really? She at least has second thoughts about things and feels alarmed. Chaz is down like the whole time.
Yes, but if you have second thoughts about things and yet you keep going to Ma's house, does it really matter that you had second thoughts? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess. I know. She really should have woken up her mom instead of
That's
just
the one that
stealing her
gets me.
mom's car. That's really
Yeah.
what seals the deal. That's like throwing away the map.
Right.
Also, I was in the woods with James and Adam, that's my roommate and my boyfriend, respectively, over the weekend, and I was like, we're gonna be Blair Witch for Halloween. And unfortunately, Adam is going to have to be the dumb bitch who throws away the map because he has short hair, and that's just how it's gonna have to be. It's unfortunate, but unless he grows his hair out, he's not in the running to be cool long hair guy.
Wow, drag him.
I know. But he does get to live longer, so in the end,
That's nice.
it's not so bad. All right, so I'm down to give Maggie the dumb bitch award, even though I love her so much and she's so cute, and I love her as an actress.
Yeah, I mean, I just think in that moment when she's like, I'm gonna go after Mom myself, it's like, sure, the video shows Farkle, but what really seems to spark Maggie's ire is that Ma is like, thanks for the earrings I stole from you. And it's like, just tell your mom that she stole your earrings. You have video proof. You can go to the police with this. The police will investigate. Hopefully they will find out about everything else weird that's happening here. You know what I mean? Like, at that point, it would be so easy. It just feels like the police are not going to believe that this 16-year-old girl gave her diamond earrings to this 40-year-old woman who's been buying her alcohol. You know what I mean? Or
Yeah.
even if they do believe that, they're going to be like, that would be in exchange for alcohol, in which case there is also something here that needs to be looked into. That's one of the times you gotta go to your mommy right away, baby. You gotta go to mommy. Don't
Mommy knows.
just steal mom's car and then drive over there.
Here's the thing, though. Maggie said, "A cab, I'm doing this shit myself."
But also let mommy do it. Sometimes
She's like, I don't need no
it's
mommy.
a job for
I'm
mommy.
doing it myself. Oh man, yeah. So okay, I'm down with Maggie getting it, but I give Andy/Farkle the second place because he disobeys his beautiful girlfriend and goes
That's true.
anyway.
He's lucky
So-
to have her because she may be a little dumb, but also other than that, she seems to be a catch.
Exactly. So he should be more appreciative. And that brings us to our final segment, which is knives out of fives. And Chelsea, set the scene. What did the people, the layperson, think of this film?
On IMDb, this movie got 5.6 out of 10, which is pretty middle of the road. And on Rotten Tomatoes, interestingly, critics actually gave it exactly the same score. It got 56% from critics, which is rotten on Rotten Tomatoes. But then audiences liked it a little better. They gave it 64%, which is fresh. And frankly, if you ask me, I don't necessarily feel like that is wrong. You know, we've talked a lot about how this movie is disappointing in a lot of ways and isn't quite what we wanted it to be, and like The Conjuring, it's trying to be too many different things
Yeah.
at once. And I think that is its main weakness, is that it's, you know, I love a movie that can blend different genres, but it is not easy to do. You have to be like really masterful with it, and I think this movie is a great piece of pop culture for the memes, and not so much a great piece of pop culture for horror as a genre. For me, I think, again, there are a lot of moments that I really liked, and there are a lot of moments that I thought this movie could really be something, and then there are a lot of moments where the movie was just not, it didn't go far enough. And so for me, I think that middle of the road score probably is not far off. You know what I mean? I don't want to give it a 3 exactly, because I've given other things that score. And well, actually, I changed my mind. I will give it a 3. I feel like that's right where I want it to be. You know,
I respect
solidly
that.
in the middle.
Yeah. Sydney, do you want to go next?
I also give it a 3. I didn't have a bad time watching this movie, but I also don't really ever need to watch it again. I did like dick representation in this movie, though.
Oh yeah, so important.
Really important.
Like, show me, like, I don't want to see, like, don't send me a picture of your dick, but I would like to see one on a big screen.
I just think
I've seen
the
my
dick
fair few pair of
representation.
tits. Let me see a dick on screen.
Yes, we're always
Finally.
getting
Exactly.
tits in movies, especially scary movies. I just think it's the men's turn.
We got
Yeah.
tits in magic. We got sexy back in the boy. And now we're finally getting the dick we deserved. Oh, God. Well, I said it, and it's on the internet now. Anyway,
The title of this
my score-
episode can be "We're finally getting the dick we deserve."
Yeah, just
Dick we
the dick
deserve,
we
I think,
deserve. The dick we
is.
deserve is the title. But anyway, for me, the first time I watched this movie, I liked it way better. I totally agree with you, Sydney. Like, I'm mad that I seen it the second time because I felt upset seeing it the second time. I don't think it's a bad movie. Like you said, Octavia is a fire actress, person, Oscar award winning wig wearer. She's amazing. But I felt upset many times during this film. And it doesn't pack the same punch the second time around. I feel bad giving it less than a 3, but I think I'm gonna give it a 2.999999999 repeating. And I just shed a single tear for what it could have been if they had just not watched a Conjuring movie right before making it, and thinking they could do it all. It's too bad. But
It's too bad.
it's just too bad. It's just too bad. That said, did you guys watch the Conjuring trailer? Because that looks like it's gonna be 4 hours long. Yeah. So I'll try to watch
for
that
you,
at some point.
maybe Vera Farmiga.
If we can go in theaters, I will watch it in theaters because I feel like it would be actually scary in theaters. But I will not put myself through another Conjuring movie on my tiny screen.
Yeah, I mean, I've watched 3 of them. They haven't come through for me in the same way that I've come through for them, because I show up every time, and
You
I
really
feel like
do.
they're not doing their end of the bargain. You know.
Also, you go after the fact, you continue to show up by creating beautiful content out of mediocre movies. So they
Thank
should
you.
be paying you at this point.
Thank you.
So next week, we are going to be giving you pure 80s crop top men's vibe.
Oof.
We had Dick this week. We are going to be talking about Sexy Men Tummies. And that is with A Nightmare on Elm Street. The OG baddie.
Oh, yeah.
Freddy Krueger.
Oh, yeah.
I can't believe you haven't seen this, Chelsea.
I feel that I have from cultural osmosis, but I don't think I actually have, is the thing. So I am very excited to actually sit down and watch this movie and perceive it in a way that's not just bits and pieces that form one larger movie over time.
Totally. I remember this being an unhinged journey, and I'm excited to experience it once again. This is a movie that I'm pretty sure I won't be sad having to see for a second time. And I'm excited to watch it again so then I can finally watch all of the very, very many sequels there are that occur in space, other places besides space. I want to get there.
Space and others.
I only know that there's one that's in space. I don't remember anything else. But I mean, who can be mad about a man with a sexy sweater, you know? So, and a nice hat. Mm-hmm. So it's going to be a great time, I think. I'm excited for you. And though we feel weird about him now, there's nothing bad about 80s Johnny Depp. So
a little classic Johnny Depp. Hard to go wrong.
Hard to go wrong. And boy, is he sexy in this. So it's going to be a good one. If you like what you heard today on Spooky Tuesday, please consider following us on social media at spooky_Tuesday. Wow, I'm kind of good at that voice. Maybe I should do voiceover. At spooky_Tuesday on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram. If you're still on Facebook, follow us at Spooky Tuesday Pod. And why not write us a long paragraph of compliments on Apple Podcasts along with a 5-star review. It'll make you feel good, but more importantly, it'll make us feel really good. So consider it. Thank you.
I also have one more quick plug, another throwback of sorts. I have been quietly doing this. We have yet to mention it. But if you, for some reason, perhaps like me, are somehow still on Tumblr, we are actually on Tumblr. And sometimes people even click on our posts. And so if you would like to be one of those people like Facebook, and in terms of the relics of old platforms, it is also Spooky Tuesday Pod.
It's a great opportunity.
Should we get a MySpace?
Shut up. You're really bullying now. Now it's mean. Now you're being mean.
Bye, Spookies.
Spooky Tuesday was created by Monica Height, Sydney Thompson, and Chelsea Duff, and edited by Sydney Thompson. Our gorgeously spooky tunes are all thanks to Tamra Simons, who you can follow on Instagram at Captain Tamra, and our podcast art is by Mary Murphy, who you can find on Instagram at the_moon_OMG.
What you did to me, the humiliation, it never goes away. But then it hit me. Sue-Ann, you're thinking about this the wrong way. You see, you treated me like a dog because that's what you are. You're no man, Ben Hawkins.
What the fuck is that? Please, Sue-Ann. I was just a kid.
So was I, motherfucker.